Joseph Eustace, a 32-year Guard member, told us he spoke with Walz before he retired and didn't feel he did anything wrong.
I wouldn't vote for him. But this isn't about voting for him. It's about being honest about his service. And he did his service as well as anyone did.
Tim Walz, of course, is the vice president pick by Kamala Harris. He was the governor of Minnesota. We're all learning more about him recently on a national level. He brings a lot of energy and excitement to the race. I know that the progressive base, of course, is very excited about him. But, of course, conservatives and Republicans are launching their political attacks against Tim Walz. It seems to be they've tried a few different angles to go after him, and I want to get into those a little bit. The first one is J.D. Vance, the VP for Trump, has taken the lead role here for going after Walz's military service.
Look, what really bothers me about Tim Walz, it's not even the positions that he's taken, though certainly he has been a far-left radical. You know what really bothers me about Tim Walz as a Marine who served his country in uniform? When the United States Marine Corps, when the United States of America asked me to go to Iraq to serve my country, I did it. I did what they asked me to do it, and I did it honorably, and I'm very proud of that service. When Tim Walz was asked by his country to go to Iraq, you know what he did? He dropped out of the Army and allowed his unit to go without him, a fact that he's been criticized for aggressively by a lot of the people that he served with. I think it's shameful to prepare your unit to go to Iraq, to make a promise that you're going to follow through, and then to drop out right before you actually have to go.
A couple of things I want to kind of clarify here, because people may or may not be aware of it. Number one, Tim Walz has served in the military for 24 years. Okay, 24 years. So just to my mind, the fact that they are even going this route to go after somebody's military service that has served for 24 years, I find very low class. I don't like on any side. I wouldn't like it if liberal or Democrat candidate did to the Republican, and I don't like it that a Republican's doing to a Democrat. I don't like that. I don't like that you're going after somebody's military service to this country. I think it's wrong. But anyways, that besides the point. Better than me, Jesse Ventura can talk about this better. He has a great clip recently that I want to share with you.
Governor Walz's military service.
Well, Laura, I'll tell you what I think. I think it's shameful. I think it's shameful that a veteran would attack another veteran. Governor Walz served honorably for 24 years in the National Guard. After 20 years, you are eligible to retire at any time you deem necessary. They talk about him missing his deployment. Well, maybe Mr. Vance should ask the real question. What is the National Guard doing deploying to a foreign country in a foreign war?
I think this is the line of attack to choose politically. Obviously, it would offend and alienate voters on one level and also people who have served the armed forces on the other.
I don't know. You'd have to ask Mr. Vance that. I don't understand his motive whatsoever, how he could turn against a fellow veteran. You know, there's kind of an unwritten rule amongst us veterans. You don't criticize another veteran. Not every veteran's a knuckle dragger. And I'm not going to define knuckle dragger, because if you've been in the service, you'll know what a knuckle dragger is.
I know that there's also been brought up about a comment where Walz made, where that's another thing that they're using, is they're saying that, oh, he used weapons in war. And then there's an old clip, and I'll show that to you.
We can make sure that those weapons of war that I carried in war is the only place where those weapons are at.
Now, to my mind, just the way I interpret that, two things. He did go to Italy in 2003, I believe it was, for part of a mission in Operation Enduring Freedom. It was a support mission. It wasn't in an active hostile zone or whatnot. He's speaking about weapons of war. He used weapons of war in his training.
And just to clarify for everybody what we're talking about here, these scurrilous attacks against him. 5 years ago, I believe, in 2019, he was talking to a group of constituents when he was in Congress about how we need to get weapons of war off the streets. And he just made this offhand comment like, you know, I carried weapons of war when I went to war, and what he meant was when I was in the military, because he didn't actually serve in a war zone. You know, he misspoke. But that was one word in one comment that he said once 5 years ago.
This is another point that I think should be brought up about this entire smear campaign, is it's almost putting a divide, trying to put a divide out there to people, saying that, oh, you're only a veteran if you serve in a combat zone, or your service should only be graded in a certain way if you served in a combat zone or saw active combat. There are hundreds and hundreds of thousands of incredible soldiers, incredible people in our military that never saw 1 second of combat. They were never in a combat zone. They never, through decades and decades and decades, is their service not commendable? Is their service not any more commendable than anybody else's? Did they not sacrifice? Did they not sacrifice family and time? Do you see what my point? I'm just saying that I think this is a very risky game the Republicans are playing by trying to put this wedge in the military community by going after Walz, saying that, oh, he didn't serve in active combat. So I do have to say that the Harris campaign response to the J.D. Vance military attack on Walz was very good. It's a very classy response, and I'm going to put it up for you. Tim Walz retired on May 16th, 2005. He filed his candidacy papers so this is another aspect to the story. He was a teacher at the time, and it has been reported that he had been discussing running for Congress with his family, and his students knew about it as well, and his students were actually encouraging him to run for office. He filed his candidacy papers to the FEC on February 10th, 2005. He actually put into motion this possibility of running for Congress. He retired May 16th. The alert order for his battalion came in on July 14th, 2005. The mobilization order came in August 14th, 2005, and his unit that he was a part of mobilized October 12th, 2005. I was surprised when I first heard about this story that they were actually going this route, that the Trump campaign thinks it's a good idea to go after someone's military service when they served for 24 years, and then you're going to go after them because they retired before they went into a war zone. I don't agree with that. I think that's wrong. I think a lot of independents will think that's wrong. I do not think it plays well with regular people. I think regular people will look at that and say, he served 24 years. What are you talking about? Like, I think most people will think, I get it. MAGA, Trump supporters, they're always going to love that. They're going to love all this red meat stuff. They're going to eat it up. You know, I'm sure the comments will be filled with stolen valor this, stolen valor that. That's fine. But that's not going to win you the election. So that's I'm surprised they're going this route because it's dirty. So I just think that J.D. Vance, who served himself, going after Walz in this fashion, I think that it does more damage to the Trump campaign than it does the Harris-Walz campaign. And my reason for saying that is most independents, that's who you need to win. See, this is one thing that MAGA supporters, Trump supporters, and MAGA world, they have to remember that they need to win independents. They need to win undecideds. There are still people that can go either way. Yes, each side is dug in. You're not going to change that. That's why both sides are trying to convince, even libertarians or Green Party or whatever. Like, you're not going to win those people by going after somebody's military service like that. It's going to maybe excite your own base, kind of some red meat for them. But just my personal opinion from a political strategy perspective, I don't think this is a wise move to go this direction, but we'll see. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't see it working out for them on this aspect. I don't know. That's just kind of my 2 cents on that. So in short on that, I think it's a mistake. I think it's wrong, and I don't think it's going to work.
These guys are even attacking me for my record of service. And I just want to say, I'm proud to serve my country, and I always will be. With my dad's encouragement, a guy who served in the Army during the Korean War, I signed up for the Army National Guard 2 days after my 17th birthday. I served for the next 24 years for the same reason all my brothers and sisters in uniform do. We love this country. Then in 2005, I felt the call of duty again, this time of being service to my country in the halls of Congress. My students inspired me to run for that office, and I was proud to make it to Washington. I was a member of the Veterans Affairs Committee and a champion of our men and women in uniform. I'm going to say it again as clearly as I can. I am damn proud of my service to this country. And I firmly believe you should never denigrate another person's service record. To anyone brave enough to put on that uniform for our great country, including my opponent, I just have a few simple words. Thank you for your service and sacrifice.